Hey guys, PetePlayed back here again. Are you struggling with Zekvir in the hardest difficulty? Well, look no further. In this guide, I will go over the abilities Zekvir has in phase 1 and 2 for the hardest difficulty, as well as explain how you can counter and avoid him to help you defeat him and get your voice schematic for your Delver's Dirigible mount. Even though the fight has been nerfed, it can still be quite a challenge. I personally did it at item level 609, and this is my gear. I only have 2 Ps and barely any raid gear as you can see. However, I advise you to gem your neck and rings as well as get everything enchanted, even if it's not the current enchants. It really does make a difference, even if it doesn't seem so at first. I saw a huge increase in my sustained DPS after doing so. Next, let's take a look at Brann. My Brann was level 41 when I did this. I have not attempted to do this at a higher Brann level or lower. When I try to do this, I had him at 41. I have all the Curios at rank 4 and have tried them all. For me personally, this is what I found best, having him as a healer, as well as the Porcelain Arrowhead Idol for the extra crit, and the Amorphous Relic for the increase of health, damage, movement speed, and haste. I would recommend these two if you need some extra DPS while still having him as a healer. In case you're a Fury warrior like me and are interested in my build, this is what I used when defeating him. I tried many builds and finally just made my own according to what I needed. First, it was very important for me to have 2 Blade Storms with the Storm of Steel talent so I can get out of the Enfeebling Spittle that Zekvir casts. Uproar to reduce Thundering Roar's cooldown for extra damage for the ads, Titan's Torment for the extra cast of Odin's Fury during Avatar and vice versa, Concussive Blows for the cooldown reduction of Pummel in case needed, also Bitter Immunity for extra health regen, however I kept forgetting to use Rallying Cry, also Thunderclap for extra damage, which I also never used. What I would recommend you to change is to drop the Improved Whirlwind and Meat Cleaver talent since you won't be using them, and rather take Massacre and Wrath and Fury for more damage. You can also get 5% more movement speed from fast footwork if you need. Next, let's take a look at the abilities Zekvir has in phase 1. First, we have the Claw Smash. This is a 2.25 second cast that Zekvir does, which inflicts massive damage in a cone in front of him, and you have to be out of it or you'll die. You also can't be over it. For example, if you're leaping and are in the air over the cone, you will still die. So if you're in the air where Brann is in this picture, even though you're over it, you're still dead. So be sure to avoid this at all costs. Next, we have Horrendous Roar. This changes in phase 2, but for phase 1, it's not as bad. All you have to do is make sure you're out of the area, otherwise you'll be feared and take damage, and most likely die. I believe you can spell reflect this, however I didn't. It's a 2.5 sec cast, so you have enough time to run out even if you're inside. If you're feared and have high enough health, it is possible to survive this. However, I recommend you simply avoid it. It's not that hard. Regenerating Carapace is Zekvir's heal. During phase 1 if allowed to cast, which is 3 seconds, will heal him for 10%. You definitely want to interrupt this, and I highly suggest using a focused interrupt. I'll have a macro in the description for this. However, since phase 1 is not so bad, even if you let him heal once, like I actually did in my run that I defeated him during, you can still make it. You will simply prolong the fight a little. However, in phase 2, you absolutely cannot let this happen, as he will heal for 25%. Enfeebling Spittle is something you want to get rid of immediately, as within 3 seconds it will most likely kill you, probably even less if you're not full health. This is a debuff that will inflict massive nature damage every 1 second to you and slow your movement speed by 40%. However, you can get rid of this by a few ways. Since this is a kind of snare, you can get rid of it with any ability that breaks snares. For example, this was one of the reasons I went for 2 Bladestorm charges. If you're a warrior like me, Bladestorm, Avatar, and even Odin's Fury breaks this instantly. However, Odin's Fury didn't always work for me. Additionally, Brann will dispel the first cast of this when he's a healer. He will dispel later on, but I believe it's on cooldown for the second. So you'll get many of these during the fight, and you must make sure you always have something to break this yourself. Sometimes I found Brann taking up to 2 seconds to dispel, so I usually give it 2 seconds if I know for sure Brann has the spell up, then break it myself, as this will instantly kill you if you don't get rid of it. Angler's Web is a 1.5 second cast with which Zekvir shoots this frontal web, which if in the way of, will pull you in and most likely kill you. So you simply want to get out of the way of this. If you're near him, you can even walk through him while he's casting it, so it's one of the easier ones to avoid. Most of the time after Angler's Web, Zekvir will cast Cold Web Terror, which is the ad you must get rid of before it hatches from the cocoon. This has been increased to 20 seconds now, so it's easier. I would still, however, recommend having 1 DPS cooldown always up for this, as it does have almost 8 million health. This is why I split all my DPS cooldowns, so we can always ensure I have 1 up for the Web Terror. If allowed to hatch, the Web Terror will cast the Web Blast and pull you in and kill you, so ensure you get this down before it hatches every time. This concludes the abilities for Phase 1. Phase 2 only adds 1 additional ability, the Unending Spines. However, it does change 2 others. We now have the Blood-Infused Carapace instead of the regenerating one, which changes to healing Zekvir for 25% instead of the previous 10%, so you must absolutely make sure to always interrupt this. Additionally, Horrendous Roar is now Infinite Horror, which not only does it fear you, but it shoots out 4 balls from north, west, east and south from him. So you must be sure to avoid this, as well as I'm not sure if Spell Reflect works on this, just don't be inside. If you're inside of it, you're dead. If you get hit by the balls, you're dead. Finally, Angler's Web is also changed during Phase 2, and how that changes is that it adds portals where the cast of the web is randomized through the portals, so you cannot be near it. Phase 2 occurs when you get Zekvir down to 60% health. When that happens, he'll go into the middle of the room and cast Black Blood. Keep in mind that during this cast, he's invincible. You cannot do damage to him, so take a break. When he's done casting, he'll begin Phase 2. As mentioned, the only new ability he gains is the Unending Spines, which will be all over the room when he casts this for 5 seconds continuously. You can walk over them before the spikes appear. However, if you're hit by one of these spikes, you will die, so be sure to run around and avoid them at all costs. As mentioned before, there are no more new abilities in Phase 2. However, there are 2 that change, and one of them is the Regenerating Carapace, which now becomes Blood-Infused Carapace instead, and will heal Zekvir for 25% if allowed to cast. Also, the cast time of this is now 2.5 seconds instead of the previous 3, so be sure to interrupt this every time. Angler's Web is also slightly changed in a way that it's not just a web that Zekvir shoots in front of him, but shoots through these portals that now spawn. You absolutely do not want to be in between any of them until you see the web go past or him finishing his cast, as otherwise this will simply kill you. Once the web has been shot through the portals and you've seen it go past, you can go near the portals as there will be no more webs to go through. Finally, we have Horrendous Roar becoming Infinite Horror. This time you will not only want to avoid this as it will indeed kill you if inside its range, but at north, south, west and east of the end of the circle, Zekvir will spawn these balls, which will shoot out in each of the directions upon the completion of the cast, which is 2.2 seconds, and if you're hit, you will be dead. So be sure to avoid being both inside of the circle and getting hit while Infinite Horror is being cast. Lastly, I would like to advise you to avoid fighting on the stairs. It is very annoying and can cost you the fight. Unless you absolutely have nowhere else to go during a specific situation, avoid fighting Zekvir on the stairs at all costs, as the split of the stairs can get in your way and block you from running up or down. And that's going to be it for this video and guide, guys. I hope you found it helpful. I hope that it would make this run easier for you. It did take a long time for me to down this, trying multiple things, learning each of the abilities that he has, but I can safely say that it is so much easier when you get used to his abilities, his things to avoid, to interrupt, and you get the flow of things. You have no trouble downing this in just a few runs probably. So good luck. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. I'll be happy to help you in any way I can. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.